Good day, gamers. Purple Mentat here, bringing you another game audition. Today, we are taking a look at Sunless Sea from Fail Better Games. This is a very story-driven, adventure, exploration, RPG-ish kind of game. Before we go any further, a bit of a content warning. This deals with relatively mature subject matter, but in a non-graphic way. So you're going to be dealing with subterranean horrors and terror and madness and some relatively gruesome stuff, but none of it is really displayed in a way that is gross or graphic or gory, at least that I've encountered so far. So keep that in mind as you watch. This is a game that you might not want your 7-year-old playing, but maybe they like Lovecraft and it would fit in just perfectly. As always, viewer discretion advised. We're going to start a brand new game so I can show you all of the mechanics, and then I'm going to talk about what I think about them. Oh man, that's a big one that I haven't encountered before. Wow. So, what you see before you right here is pretty much the primary mechanic of the game. You're going to be spending a lot of time in your journal, reading over things and making decisions. In this, I can either choose to decide on a past or choose later and just head off as a shadowy figure with an unknown past. I will choose to decide on a past. And I now have a lodge in a room above the blind talisman. And this is basically a little card that I will always have with me. Now, I could be a street urchin, a poet, veteran of the campaign of 68. That sounds fun. You fought in the invasion of hell. London's armies lost. You survived. Your loot and your pension have bought you a command. Command, you say? Well, yes. You see, you are a captain of a ship on the Unter See, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I will continue to mangle all of the pronunciations in this game as we go through. This is your final warning. So, becoming a captain, becoming a veteran, or having always been a veteran, it's hard to decide. Stern and exacting. They will not trifle with you. You promised a job to your acquaintance, the shady cook. He'll do until you find someone less disgusting. So, choosing this gets me one clue. One crew, one officer. Talk to him and find out why he went to Z. Yes, they frequently replace S's with Z's in this. We are not sailing on a sea, we are sailing on the Unter See. We go out to Z for short, and we are sailors. Which, I find that cute. I think it's great. You were a weary soldier, now you're a Z captain. You've gained 20 echo. That is the primary currency of the game. Or at least of Fallen London. Which brings us to a rather interesting point. This game is tied to a web game known as Fallen London. I have not messed with the web game at all, but it is also, from what I understand, primarily story-driven. However, the initial story seems to start with London was stolen by bats a year ago and now lives a mile underground. Whatever, we don't need an explanation for why this setting exists. It exists, and it's kind of awesome. I now have a shady cook. I've gained 25 iron. As you can see, iron affects how much damage I do. That'll make me a very good combatant. There are 5 other stats that are very important. Mirrors, which allow me to lock on faster in combat. Pages, which allow me to learn secrets more quickly. Veils, which is my skill at speed, stealth, and deception, allowing me to sneak up on enemies. And hearts, my ability to inspire, heal, or defend. All 5 of these are used in different skill challenges in the story down in the journal. They are also all useful while you're out on the Z. So depending on how you end up speccing your character, you could have very different results with the same actions. What is my ambition? I believe that this man, with all that he has seen, is jaded. Now, all he wants is wealth. Beyond the dreams, the Untersee is full of riches. Death and darkness, too, but it's worth the gamble. To win, gather a substantial retirement fund, upgrade your lodgings to a mansion, and retire. That is highly unlikely for this captain. Captains are disposable in this game. This captain prefers to be known as, let's go with Madam, just because it's fun for me. Last piece of advice, explore, take chances. This captain will probably die. The Z is hungry. But each captain passes on lessons to the next. And now you get to select a shadowy portrait. I believe that our soldier lady of the Victorian era, yeah, that's a good look for her. I like that. And you get to name yourself whatever you like. I'll go with one of my standard character names that I use everywhere. Now, you start with a book of advice. This is all just useful things to help you out, little tidbits of information to give you some idea of what you're doing. I've already read through it, so once you do, you can sell it, gain a bit of cash, which is nice. Having more echo is good. When you are in port, as I am right now in the Wolfstack docks of Fallen London, you can go to your lodgings and read your morning papers, and maybe, if you have the right triggers in your inventory, or the right resources, you'll be able to do one of these other actions, like take a rest in the room, your little room above the blind helmsman, which will restore terror. We'll get to terror once we're out on the Z. You could purchase yourself a better house. You can write a will so that your descendant or your heir receives more of your treasures. And similar options. You can also visit London, the Admiralty's office. You can hire on more crew. You can check out the tomb colonists. Hey, look at that. There's a story down here. An emigrant will pay to be taken north to Venderbite. Well, we're broke, but we own a boat, so we should probably take on a passenger. It's oddly difficult to die in Fallen London, but when a Londoner is too tatty and wretched to live, they wrap themselves in bandages and take ship for the tomb colonies. Your crew cart these ones aboard in padded coffins. They'll sleep there until the journey is done. Well, if we're heading north to Venderbite anyway, let's check the shops. This is a game of sailing on the seas, and any time that you're sailing, you should be trading. Let's find out if there are more of those. Ooh, crate of human souls. That's a little disturbing. I'm looking for more of the tomb colonists, which I thought we had available. It's also entirely possible that I skipped over them somewhere. Well, one other thing that I know because I have played before is that they like their mushroom wine up there. Now, you're going to have to explore around and go to the different ports yourself to find out what sells well in each port. I'm going to fill up on the stuff, getting myself, if I check my hold, 5 casks of mushroom wine. Now, before we leave, we should pay a visit at least once to the Admiralty, because you're going to need to work with them. And at the Admiralty, they will tell you what you can do for them, which I have no favors. So there's nothing else. There's actually nothing that I can do here quite yet. Can I? Yeah, I have 0 favors. Well then. Clearly the Admiralty is not going to be helpful. But always read the morning papers if you're in town, because you will get 1 supply most of the time that I have, and you will always get recent news, which is a useful resource to pass on to a further away place that does not as often get the news. Alright, we seem to have spent our money and filled up our holds. Let's leave dock and go explore the Z. Controls are very, very simple. In fact, you can rebind them if you want in the options screen with the edit key bindings. WASD for movement, W increases your throttle, S reduces your throttle, A and D turn left and right. Chart, open with C or M. And you can, then there's various buttons for all of these down here, which if you mouse over them, you will also get, well actually no, you won't always get the right pop-up. Toggle lights is actually on L, even though the tooltip says M. Repair hull on R. Yes, that's good. Full power to the engines. That will burn your fuel faster. You're probably not going to want to do that most of the time, but you'll get a good speed boost out of it. I have no idea what the use button does. Horn for H? Okay, that's one that I haven't seen before either. Alright, you know what? That's worth playing the game right there. So, it's ship combat. Steamship combat, specifically, is you're in the late 1800s London underground. When you're going out and about, you can send out your bat, your Z-bat, with the Z button, to do a bit of scouting. And when he comes back, he'll tell you, oh look, Hunter's Keep is some distance to the northeast. Well, let's head generally northeast and see if we can find Hunter's Keep. And you do not start with... Oops. Wrong button. You do not start with much of a map at all. You need to fill all of this in yourself. As you do make those discoveries, you will gain fragments. When you have enough fragments, based on your pages score, you will gain a secret. Oh, but we ran out to sea without ever having a chat with our cook. Let's talk to him now. What you're on, he might say more, but a coughing fit takes him. Eventually, he straightens up and wipes his mouth, slowly, with his forearm. The shady cook is not the most hygienic of officers, but it'll do until you find someone better. I don't even know how to begin pronouncing that. However, this guy will allow you to spend secrets, as I was just saying, you earn them by collecting fragments, to increase your hearts. That's the basic advancement mechanic of the game, collecting secrets by exploring around and getting fragments and, well, storylines. So let's see, why did the shady cook choose to go to Z? He looks you directly in the eyes. Surely. He repeats it, more slowly. Sea of lilies. He licks his lips, very slowly. Eventually you have to look away. It's apparently somewhere in the east central Untersee. Alright then. That at least tells us where he wants to go, but if I look at my chart and I zoom all the way out, yeah, east central is quite a ways away. We only have 6 supplies, which is your food, and 8 fuel. Now, when you're out exploring, you will find a lot of ports, places you can put in. For example, here at Hunter's Keep. If you have this big light up here, right here, that is your something awaits you in port alert. This means that if you were to land, you can get a storyline event. No matter where you are, something interesting will be waiting for you. Ah, here we are. Combat in this game. At its most basic, when you first start off, you will have one weapon which fires forward. You will need to target by pointing at your enemy. You need to keep them in your front lights to lock on as fast as possible, and then you can click the button or press 1 to use it. When you take the bats out, they leave a pile of corpses in the water, which you can roll over and collect the loot. We are going to gather up all of them into the pot, because that will get me another supply. However, it's also kind of crazy, and we gain some terror doing this. Terror increases rapidly when you're at Z. Right now, it's dark, so people are getting scared quickly. If I were to shut off the main light, well, you can see that you are far from light or hope. Terror is increasing rapidly. Yeah. So keep your lights on unless you need to sneak past something. Now we're going into territory that is completely unexplored by me. I've never seen this area before. Oh, yeah, try not to smash into things. You will be upset. Labyrinth of eels. Probably because you need to snake through it quite so carefully. But yes, this is a game of explore. Oh, look at you. Hi, buddy. A bound shark. You will probably destroy my little boat. You have 140 hit points. But let's try it anyway. Fire. Run. When your weapon is not filled all the way, you have a chance of missing. Like that. You really want to wait until it is fully charged, fully locked on, before you fire. No, 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 no. Ah. Not good. Yep, that hurts 10 damage. That's okay. We got this. He's not as dangerous as I originally thought. As I'm now pressing away from him, I'm no longer locking on. I have... Oh, no. Come on. Stop charging. Yes. There we go. I pause lock on until I once again have him in my sights, and when he is in the light, it goes even faster. Let's see what killing him was worth. Let's see, we can use its meat. Its torment ended with its death. You have more immediate concerns. Examine its cage armature. Someone has bound it savagely with black iron, sunk bands and joined mechanisms deep into its flesh. A high-risk challenge. Your page's quality gives you a 30% chance of success. Well, that's not a very good chance of success. Let's use its meat. We gained a hunting trophy, which I assume can be converted into echoes somewhere. A free supply, well, free. And 20 an unrepossessing mass. Unprepossessing mass. Wow. An appalling glob of organic matter and dripping fluids retrieved from somewhere you'd rather not think about. That's about as graphic as I've seen anything get in this game, if you're concerned about the content. Okay, so... there's probably something horrible inside, but possibly there's not. So, shall we slice open the curious sack? Let's do so. Inside, we find a human skull. This isn't the ZB's stomach. What is it doing in there? Like a seed in a gourd? And we now have a lamentable relic, which can likely be turned into money somewhere. Just like almost everything else you randomly find, someone out there on the Z is willing to give you echo for it. So those are all the basic mechanics. Everything else in the game is exploration and storyline. Now, what follows from here is going to be a small storyline spoiler, just as you know, but it's a storyline that's always available to everyone, so not the worst spoiler in the world. We just need to get where we're going. The game definitely has kind of a slow ponderance to it, and could maybe do with some more frequent music. The combat is fun enough for what it is, and I expect that once you have multiple weapons, because you can get up to 3 on your boat, and a larger boat would actually be fairly enjoyable. You can have a foreweapon, an aft weapon, and a deck gun once you have a large enough ship. Alright, what do? I can butcher it for supplies, or I can dissect it for knowledge. Page quality gives you a 75% chance of success? Yes. Crab full of conundrums. You set to work with your knives and acids. It is an undistinguished adolescent specimen, a megalops, of one of the deep sea crab species. But its eyes, normally vestigial in these troglodytic beasts, are large and rather beautiful. The golden glow is almost gone now, although sparks leap now and then to your knife. So we gain a fragment, and succeeded in a page's challenge. So those crabs, primarily worth fragments. Well, it takes 288 fragments to get a... Oh, hang on. $288 fragments to gain a single secret. Likely not worth it to intentionally seek them out and fight them. Now, the way that I'm fighting right now is horridly wasteful on fuel, but it's also fairly accurate. Oh, here we go. As you see, unfortunately, we failed that one. I love the music in the game when it does appear. I just wish it were slightly more common. Now, we talked about how terror is attached to light. When you are around one of these lighted buoys, or light from any source other than your ship, you will generate far less terror than you will otherwise. But this vagabond and many other pirate-ish vessels, you don't want to be seen by them. They will cause you trouble. Yeah, there we go. Pirate cruiser. But we can pretty much just target it and kill it this way with minimal damage. There we are. Now, when you sink a pirate vessel, things get interesting. If you have a large enough crew. I don't believe we do. Yes, we are going to loot her and scuttle her. We gain a cache of curiosities, which we can open. Contains a bolt of spider silk. Nice. Good times. Send out to explore. Running low on fuel. You definitely don't want to be calmed. But there's Venderbright, and there's their docks. So we're almost there. And then I'll show you what I meant by the bit of a storyline spoiler. When you arrive, you'll be able to complete that mission you took in the first area to bring the corpse folks here. There we are. Trouble with the tomb colonists. One last fight. Your passenger has been drinking. Ahoy, she chortles. Defend yourself. She launches a tipsy assault. Your crew hang back, chuckling. Thanks, crew. So, with my iron of 50, I pretty much have a 100% chance of success at this. And an effortless defense. Tomb colonists have a lifetime of bitter experience. Some of them are the deadliest combatants under the earth. Possibly this one is when she hasn't drunk quite so much rum. You'll never know. She salutes you, laughing after you disarm her. Good fight, she opines. Then she staggers backward and falls over the side. You never do find what happened to her, but at least you have her rather magnificent cavalry saber and her belongings. You gain an iron. You lost the colonist. You gained 2 supplies. Succeeded in an iron challenge, and you brought the tomb colonist to Venderbright and defeated them in an unexpected duel. Now have 1 outlandish artifact. Belongs in a museum! Assuming that colonial imperial appropriation for the purpose of a hegemonic tax abomination is a suitable response to the problem of intercultural contact. Wow, that was a mouthful. Which it probably is, because museums are magnificent institutions. If you've made an ironclad will, well, that's something that comes later in the game, You can, in fact, leave these for your ancestors if you do it right. Or not your ancestors, your successors. Yeah, there we go. So first, off to the shops, where we can sell this mushroom wine for 2 more than the cost of purchasing it. Now, as you can tell, with our little ship and the meager funding that we currently have, gaining 2 echo per mushroom wine, not really worth it. Especially as each fuel back in London costs 10. It costs 20 out here. We certainly don't want to buy it here if we can avoid it. 2% fuel remaining in barrel. If we make a beeline for London, we should be okay. Oh, we can also sell recent news. Buy supplies. We're doing okay on those. Buy tomb colonists. Nope, we can sell tomb colonists here for 15. Let's see. In the story, we have our choices. If we had a sufficient amount of terror and echo, we would send our crew to carouse throughout this Venderbright. There's just not a whole lot of carousing available. Exploring Venderbright, because something awaits, is always a good idea. Here, they favor candlelight over gaslight. The shadows are swagged like cobwebs. The tomb colonists stand still enough to be mistaken for sculpture until they laugh or cough. 1 building in 3 seems abandoned. Okay. Brought us to the chapel, apparently. Our options in the chapel are to just leave, make a small offering of 1 echo. We do not have... Oh, if we are unaccountably peckish, which I don't quite understand, we can skip the offering and do something else. Or we can attempt to search the place, which is a very chancy challenge. I think to avoid conflict, we shall make the offering. Alright, so that gave us a tale of terror. Prayer soothes the soul, they say. Your soul is not soothed. You wait, head bent, while the light in the chapel beats on you, shadowless and unmoved. Nothing changes. The red of the place gets into your vision. The faces of your crew seem flushed, as if fevered. You hear your own breathing echo raggedly. No one is sitting in the pew behind you. It doesn't stop you looking. The scene will stay with you. Perhaps you can write of it when you return to London. So we lost an echo and gained a tale of terror, as well as 5 terror. Interesting. Fun stuff. So that's the whole game, folks. You're exploring around. You have a massively large area. I believe, actually, I'm pretty much certain that things move around a bit. This is not a 100% static map. And I know that there are plans to get it more procedurally generated, I believe. This is something I read in the forum from almost a year ago. Game just came out of early access today, and they still have a number of content updates planned. Now, let me show you what that's about. So, what you're going to want to do if you get the game, and I feel you should, you're going to want to come into this menu and you're going to want to click this button right here, which is Get More Stories. They're going to ask you to sign up for their Fallen London page. Once you do, you'll be able to download all of their extra story updates to Sunless Sea. This game is currently $18.99 on Steam. I have only put in about an hour on my largest game. Oh, I never saved. So that's one mechanic that I forgot to cover. Let's talk about that real quick. You have the option of manually saving. However, if you do, you forfeit the Invictus token. While you are in unforgiving mode, you will auto-save once every time you visit dock. If you were to manually save, you'll lose the Invictus token, and you will no longer be able to basically score the extra bragging rights for that. Oh, neat. The fragments look cool. So does the hunting trophy. So, is this a game I'm going to play a lot more of on the channel or on stream? No, most likely not. I do not feel that it is good YouTube or Twitch content. However, I loved Choose Your Own Adventure games when I was a kid, and this game is basically a pretty neat naval combat arcade game with a giant Choose Your Own Adventure game wrapped around it, and then like candy-coated in delicious Cthulhian theme. It's fun. It's been a good time, my time with it. I explored on my first attempt all down through here, found 8 to 10 ports, went through a weird ritual on a mask island where I infiltrated a society of people who have given up their identities to wear masks and dress in robes. It's a game that has me wanting to tell you the stories of the game that I played, which is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. So, at the end of the day, Mentat recommends Sunless Sea, available today for $18.99 on Steam or your regional equivalent. It has shown up in multiple sales and Humble Bundles, as it was first available last June in early access. I highly recommend you play the game. I would also recommend that you buy it at full price if you are able to support the developers. Failbetter Games did a great job, and they've been supporting the game through the early access period in the best possible way. Constant updates, more options, just it gets better and better all the time. However, this is a game that is likely to be on the summer sale, so if you are short, then don't hurt yourself to play a game. Wait, and pick it up then. Thank you very much for joining me, folks, as we explored a little bit of the Sunless Sea. Now, just to close things out, we are going to go straight into the depths of the sea with no light on, just to see what happens. Spoiler, it's not going to end well. Ooh, bats. It really does a good job of ramping up the sense of loneliness and fear. You can see the terror creeping up. The fuel is slowly counting down. Actually, that's going to be the real issue. I want to see what happens when I run out of fuel. I'm being terribly mean to this poor captain. Oh, look. Look at you! You're big. Western angler crab. Alright. Let's do this. Buddy, how are you? I can't afford to maneuver in this fight. Hopefully he mostly sits there and does not try to take out the ship. I'm not hurting him a lot with each shot. He might just leave. Oh, yeah, he did. He submerged briefly. Oh no, he's coming in for the kill. Ah, 10 damage. That's not good. And he's about half dead now. Increased rate of fire means decreased accuracy. Oh no, we lost a crew. The angler crab seems to have grabbed someone right off the deck. There we go. Huh, so we can dissect it for knowledge, but we have a low chance, so we will butcher it for supplies. Gain a supply and 3 unprepossessing masses. You've lost a crew member. Lose too many and your speed will reduce. Lose them all and you too will die. You can always engage more in London and sometimes other ports. And we're gonna cut these open. It won't keep, but it looks tasty. So we gain a little bit more terror, but we all have a delicious meal. Two sailors complain that the meat sighs melodramatically when cutlery is applied to it. They are probably engaging in mischief, but your crew become nervous. Nervous, but satiated. We're down to 5 crew. Our hull is at 15 of 75. We are on our last barrel of fuel. Desperate measures. Without fuel, your ship is just an oddly shaped house located somewhere you really don't want to live. Search your supplies for something of use. There must be something you can use as propellant. A few less supplies. Very little remains to you, but you're lucky. Perhaps there's something you can use. Matter of luck. It could go either way. Sacrifice to Storm is locked because we do not have the attention of Storm. We also do not have the attention of Stone or Salt, the other two gods of Z. We have no distress flares. We could abandon ship. There's a tiny chance you'll find your way back to London without either crew or ship. Perhaps it'll be better if you don't. Nice. You know what? We're going for it. I bet I can find a port before I run out of fuel. Bat, find me a port. Oh. Oh. The Dubois Maelstrom. Something tells me I should stay out of that. Especially when low on fuel. Luckily, you can see exactly where the edges of it are and skirt it that way. Oh, look, a dock! Ha 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 ha! There we are. There are no islands within the Z-Bat's range. There's an island right here. Pigmote Island. Sounds like a lovely place to visit. Let's see what they have to offer. Oh, oh, oh. Made it to dock. Ha 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 ha. They don't sell fuel. We're in trouble. Ha. No market. No habitation in sight. Very little in the way of a maintained dock. Well, let's go see what awaits us on Pigmote Island. In any case, you have an idea of how things work now. I think this is a fun game. I'm having a lot of fun exploring the world of the Untersee and all of the weird, strange characters that we find. A couple of other things, just there's a lot to find and explore, and any other cool things I tell you about the world is going to be a spoiler. I really enjoy this game. I really suggest you go out and get it. Thank you very much for joining me, folks. See you next time.